This video is brought to you by Sailrite. Visit sailrite.com for all your project supplies, tools, and instructions. In this video, we're going to show you how to shape foam. Foam can be shaped in a variety of ways. Professional upholsterers will often use an angle die grinder or a drill with an abrasive pad. Those electric-powered tools make quick work of shaping foam. However, mistakes can easily be made and all of a sudden you have a divot rather than a smooth, consistent surface. If you want to avoid those possibilities, you may want to consider making your own shaping tool. In this video, we'll show you how to cut your foam and shape it.
So we have our old foam bookend to the new foam, and what I'm going to use is I'm going to use my marker. Remember, this is compressed a little bit, so I'm especially at the end. I'm going to use my marker and try to get a measurement that'll be a little bit bigger than our original piece.
If you're using old foam as we are to cut the shape into the new foam, remember that the old foam, because it's been in the cover for years, may be compressed slightly.
So down the length I'm going to strike a line, that way I can use that as a reference to where to cut with my blade. And then I'm going to put a line here as well. So we put a straight edge on here and just strike this line all the way across, making sure that it's straight or parallel with the foam. And we'll do that same thing here with this mark.
We need to cut away some of this foam. There's too much to shape here.
Okay, if we were to cut from line to line that I struck on there, using this ruler here that's clear, you can see we'll cut into the arch a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut outside of that, these two lines. They're used as a reference. I believe it's the same thing with this. Yep, see, we'd be cutting into the arch there. So again, we're going to cut to the outside of those lines using them as a reference.
The easiest way to cut this wedge from the two sides is to use the Sailrite blade foam saw. Here we're using it with the base installed. That base can also be removed. This keeps our cut line nice and straight because you can easily control it so you get the appropriate angle down the length of our foam. The more consistent this cut is, the easier it will be to shape the foam. An alternative is to use an electric kitchen knife that is used often for Thanksgiving dinners. Here it works fairly well. It's a little bit more difficult to control the blade, and it doesn't cut nearly as well as the Sailrite blade foam saw, but it does work. We're only going to cut about 2 feet of the foam with the electric kitchen knife. Then we're going to switch back to the Sailrite blade foam saw because it does a much better job. Here, the base of the Sailrite foam saw has been removed. So depending on the wedge, if that base gets in the way, you can operate it without it if you like. Now let's compare the two cuts.
So as you can see, the electric kitchen knife works fairly well, but I've got a lot more inconsistencies in the foam. And this will only work with a medium density or lower. It will not work well with a high density foam. Whereas the Sailrite blade foam saw, if you look over here where we started, it's so much more consistent than the electric kitchen knife. And this works with medium density, high density, low density foams, and you will get more consistent cuts with it.
Now it's time to shape the foam.
For the DIYer, a lid off of I believe it's a spaghetti, glass spaghetti container works well as a sander. And I'm just going to use a screw and punch some holes in it to make a shaping tool for my foam. So we found for DIYers that a tool like this actually works quite well because you can't make a mistake. It is such a slow process. So all I'm going to do is just come across the foam and shape the edges so they are round. Now, a good cut makes this job much easier because I don't have to worry about all these gouges from the electric kitchen knife that's over here. I'm going to have to work on getting those out. So using a tool like this, we can shape the foam slowly. And because it's not on a tool, it's nearly impossible to create a gouge in your foam. So You can shape foam slowly. This is almost like being an expert carver or what do you call it, sculptor. That's basically all you're doing here is you're sculpting the foam, making sure that you're not creating any gouges or indents in the foam as you go, and giving it a rounded look. This tool actually works well with medium density foams and high density foams as long as they're a polyurethane foam. And you can make it yourself.
You'll find at the Sayrite website that we have a variety of polyurethane foams, from high density to medium density, and several with antimicrobial treatments on them, so they work well for wet environments and that the mold and mildew does not grow to the foam. You'll find that all at Sayrite.
So here's the side that was cut with an electric kitchen knife all the way to here, and you can see there's more gouges. So we're going to have to try to work those gouges out, but I think we can do that with the shaper as well. Definitely an indent there. We either have to smooth it out or we have to shape the whole thing so that that indent disappears. So we want to look down the length of this and make sure that we don't have any pits or any spots that are a little bit larger than others. At the ends it's kind of hard to do because it's the ends, but we'll get those a little bit better too. I'm just looking over the overall shape of it. It looks pretty good on both sides. Now this is a 60 grit sanding block, and you can use this to do your final shaping. It's not going to take off much, but it is going to take off all those loose fibers. It does take off a little bit at a time, so if you want to do your final shaping and make sure everything still looks good, you can use a sanding block like this. Okay, we vacuumed it, and now we're going to blow off any excess that might be on the foam. This is So foam, 1/4 inch, and all I'm doing is kind of a little bit oversized right now. So if there are any inconsistencies, this can help with that, and also because of the fact that we need our foam a little bit thicker. So this So foam has a fabric backing on one side meant to hold a stitch if you have to sew through it for channeling. Then on the other side, the polyurethane foam. We're going to apply the glue to the fabric side. We're going to glue it with the foam lock spray adhesive from Sayrite. So we want to apply the glue in one direction down the entire length. Then we'll apply it in the other direction. Then for a permanent bond, you want to spray the foam on the top and the two sides, not these ends. Same process, coat it well. Okay, the glue is now tacky. We've waited a few minutes, and what I like to do is lay the So foam on the tabletop, making sure that this is centered because it's about the width of our foam. There we go. Now I'll start at the center and pull it up, applying a little bit of pressure.
We do not need more thickness than just this 1/4 inch. You could use a 1/2 inch if you needed more, or you could wrap to the underside as well. We don't need to do that.
And the same thing with this one.
We'll cut off the excess with scissors. It can gum up your scissors even if the glue becomes cured all the way, so you may want to use an old pair of scissors rather than a good pair.
Sides are really nice.
This new rectangular piece of foam is now shaped and ready for application in our upholstery project. For more free videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the Sayrite YouTube channel, and be sure to click the bell to be notified of new videos when they become available. I'm Eric Grant, and from all of us here at Sayrite, thanks for watching.